Baltimore County, as opposed to what people in that 7 congressional district. Let's look at Penn North, Upton, Sandtown. How do you look at the fact crime is a major issue in this part of the district, and how would your candidate, has he addressed any kind of plan to reduce this gun violence in the city of Baltimore?
Yeah, exactly. I think this calls back to the 3 issues I mentioned earlier, because we're operating on a simple premise here. If people have the resources and the jobs and the housing to live their lives in a safe way, no one is going to go out and commit crimes. So whether it's Baltimore City or Howard County or any other area, if they have those resources, if they have a proper education, they have housing to stay in, and they have a job to work, nobody's going to be out committing crimes in the first place. So.
Okay, proper resources, proper education. Now we're going to go to our new guest who just joined us, and this is a former elected official herself, Miss Helen Holton. Let's give her a round of applause. First time guest in studio, and so glad to have you here, Mrs. Holton. And what we have done, and I'll just pick up the last 2 questions that you missed, is they're very easy, take about 1 minute, and we're asking people to tell us who you are, who you're supporting, and a little bit about yourself, and then we'll come back to the last question. So who you are, who you're supporting, and a little bit about who you are.
Well, thank you so much, Lou, for doing this work that you do, and for all the years I've known you, you continue to do this work. I am Helen Holton, former councilwoman of the 5th District and then the 8th District, who continues to pour into and serve Baltimore City through the many things that I do. But I'm here today to talk about why Maya Rocky Moore Cummings is the best choice for this 7th congressional seat at this time.
But the only other question, and thank you for coming, the only other question you missed, we had asked each of the supporters of a different candidate, and now we asked you the same question. Could you tell us the top 3 issues that Dr. Cummings is running on?
So I will say, first and foremost, it's going to be the violence that we're facing throughout the country. Definitely in Baltimore City, definitely in Baltimore County, as it's growing and their numbers are much greater statistically than in the past, but also what it means across the country. Healthcare, particularly healthcare for women. Women are the foundation of the Black community. We're the mothers, we're the caregivers, we're the rescuers. We are the ones that when things go wrong, we transcend across all aspects of the community as Black women. And third is opportunities for our youth, which is tied to crime and violence that we're experiencing in the city. But I would also add to that equitable development and how we look to not just support and encourage development, but how we look to ensure that it's equitable for the many small minority and women businesses in this region that are looking for ways to lift up themselves and their communities. And what we know is that more women hire more African Americans, and more African Americans hire more African Americans. And when we talk about lifting the community as a whole, we've got to find ways to lift from the least of those.
Thank you, Ms. Holton. And we're going to
an opportunity for equity in education, but it did not. And we continue to fight for what's right to have more equitable education. But it also takes the engagement of parents. It takes the engagement of everyone. And not just, I'm not blaming the teachers. We all have culpability in where we're missing on educating our children. And I think a voice in Congress from someone who's been around, who understands, whose work has been about raising children and family to higher standards. You can't do that without effective and quality education.
So let me ask my young man over here, please. No, we have to do it proper. It's his time.
So, education, inequality is a nationwide issue. It's not.
So how is Howard going to go to Congress and fix it?
It's not just here, and I think the biggest mistake that a lot of campaigns and politicians make is to just throw money at the problem. If we give these schools money, they'll be able to have the resources. What I think that Harry is going to be able to do is not only get that Title I funding there and just get that the public education system rebooted in the city.
No coats. Look, no heat in the winter. Exactly. No air conditioning in the summer.
Those funds will be delivered.
And look,
however,
the congressman should be on top of that.
We also need to improve, however, the curriculum. Like you said, we can't blame the kids. If these curriculum aren't working, we have to revisit elementary and secondary curriculum in elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools throughout the district. So I think that's the main way to attack it. If we're looking at problems with education inequality, we need to not only improve the resources, but the quality of that education. Again, don't just throw money at the problem. That will not necessarily fix it. And we need to attack this not as a district issue, but as a nationwide issue.
So let's go to line 1. Ms. Donna, are you still there? Can you tell me how